Well, I'll tell you what, this is going to be fun. I have been looking forward to this for a long time. My friend, Chris Lilly, and you've already heard about his accomplishments. He is an amazing man, an amazing talent, world renowned. I mean, my gosh, we may need to stop, Chris. I need your autograph before we go any further. I don't know if I can get that virtually, but hey, thank you for being on Crossing the Line today. Chris Lilly, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate the invitation.
Well, I tell you, every time I talk to somebody and they're asking, like, who's going to be your next guest? And when I throw out that name, Chris Lilly, man, they get excited. I don't know if they think, that maybe I'm going to get some free barbecue out of this deal. I don't know how that works, but they get excited. You have made a name for yourself, and rightly so, Chris. It's just an amazing thing that you've done with Big Bob Gibson's barbecue. And if you want to, by the way, more information about that, we'll put it in the show notes because everybody has to experience Big Bob Gibson's barbecue. You got to experience it. It is amazing. I grew up with it, and listen, it will change your life. I'm just telling you, it is incredible barbecue. Not only that, of course, as you heard earlier in the intro, Chris, you're an amazing pit master. Oh my gosh, and the Hall of Fame and world renown and so many of those awards we talked about. Does your head get a little big, Chris, from time to
time? I cook barbecue for a living. I don't think it can get very big. It's definitely not rocket science, but gosh, it has been a lifestyle and a fantastic life for me. So I'm not going to complain whatsoever.
I love it. What a great gig, right? Yeah, to cook barbecue for a living. That's amazing. But you've done so much more than that, Chris. You've made an impact on our community here in North Alabama and beyond in our state. You're a leader that's recognized as someone who has not only been successful from a business standpoint, but also just for who you are and what you represent and how you reach out to the community and the things you've done there that I've got to see over and over again. So I want to just kind of, I just want to learn more about you. I want to pick your brain a bit. And I want you to help us today as we cross the line from understanding about leading with our head and our heart and how both of those are important. But it comes with first developing those characteristics that helped you to make the decisions that you make to be the leader you are. So who was Chris growing up? Where did you grow up? Kind of take us, we want to hear the Chris Lilly story.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Florence, Alabama, not too far from Decatur. So still North Alabama, still along the Tennessee River. And, had a brother and two sisters. So big Catholic family in Florence. So yeah, I just grew up in Florence. And my dad, he had a architecture degree from Georgia Tech. And when I was young, he was a builder. And so I got to see him work hard. And I think that's where I developed my work ethic, watching him get up early in the morning and go to work and come home late. He wasn't loud and boisterous. He just kept his nose down, did his work, and enjoyed family. So went to Coffee High School, which is no more. Now it's Florence High School. They combined two high schools there. And I stayed local. I went to the University of North Alabama College there in Florence and went 4 years there, graduated with a degree in marketing and finance. They didn't offer a barbecue class there, so that was learned after the fact. But grew up in Florence, born and raised. Didn't do a whole lot of travel. Just hit the books and enjoyed life.
Right.
Did a little work on the side. I worked for Unclaimed Baggage of Florence, and then I worked for Mangum's Furniture. I delivered furniture through high school and college. So,
wow. Well,
go ahead.
That's where you got all those muscles. Now I see. Yeah. Hey, take us back and think about a day in the life of, and what was it like as a child, even maybe in elementary school, growing up in Florence with your dad, the hard worker, he's out working and he's teaching you that work ethic. But what was a day in the life of Chris like as a child?
Well, with a big family like that and my the dad gone a lot working, I had to be creative on how I spent my time and how I kept busy. And, with four kids, the attention gets divided by four. So
Mm.
I really had a lot of time by myself to really reflect and find things to do, and a lot of that was outdoors. So I spent a ton of time outdoors on the creeks and on the rivers and just riding motorcycles and just having fun doing the kids things. So when I wasn't in school, I'd leave home early in the morning and come back about dinner time.
I
And
love.
that's when the family, it was pretty neat back then. We always met, and the whole family would sit around on the dinner table and talk about what happened in each other's lives during that day. So that was a time that I had with my family. I knew I had it every day.
Chris, thinking about that, I think about growing up as a kid and playing in the creek and that kind of thing, and like you said, going out and being outside all day. I think we've lost some of that today. I mean, what in the world? Think about some of the things that we did as children that there would be no way we could get by with that today.
Oh, without a doubt. Most of the time you look at the kids today, and a lot of times they're in their rooms, they're playing video games, they're on their telephone, they're doing social media and things like that. Well, we didn't have that back then. The best we had was Atari and, Pong and
Oh
Pac-Man,
yeah,
the really simple video games. So, you had to be creative and get creative with the toys and the sticks and the balls and the floats and the rafts and that's why much of my time was spent outside with friends. I look back at some of you brought a good point. I look back at some of the crazy things that I did, on motorcycles and exploring not only behind the house but all over the city where I probably shouldn't have taken a dirt bike.
exactly right. The same way. I had one of those little mini bikes, and we didn't think about a helmet. I mean, what in the world? We just kind of went and did our thing. But times have changed. But I do think I'd love your thought on this. Don't you think some of that, the hard knocks kinds of things, because we had to kind of work through our own issues, if you will, our own problems, and you said creativity, and that is so true. But don't you think some of that helped you to be who you are today, to know how to navigate different things that come up?
Oh, without a doubt. I think back when I was a kid, and my dad being a builder, he had an amazing shop and amazing tools and wood and all sorts of different things that I could go down in there during the day and play with and put things together and use my imagination and then hanging out with him on job sites and everything. I was
Mm.
learning skills back then that I didn't even know it that I apply in my daily life and repair and maintenance around the house or just figuring things out, the mechanical aspect of figuring things out and knowing how things work. And I think a lot of that gets lost today with kids because they're so preoccupied with other things. They don't have the time to really learn and explore like I did when I was a child.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Technology is a wonderful thing, but I think it's stolen some things from us as a culture. And part of that is being outside and having the time without those devices where you can instantly talk to your friends, across the world or wherever, to figure things out, to learn, to explore, to try. It's just a different world today. Hey,
Yeah, I
Chris.
think I think too, and you bring that up. I
Yeah, go
think
ahead.
you can bring health into that as well.
Oh,
Where
wow.
I was outdoors in creeks and mud and woods and everything. It was almost like you're building your immune system up to a lot of things that don't affect me. I wasn't as concerned with germs and sanitizer solution and things like that is we have to be now. So I feel like I'm in good health with a great immune system. And I think, who knows? I think that goes back to your childhood and how you're raised.
Boy, I think you're so right. I think about going out in creeks and climbing out in the woods and the mountains and drinking that water, drinking that water, out of the creek or wherever. And that probably helped us health wise too. I hadn't thought about that, but maybe we need a bit of more of that in today's wear a mask everywhere you go thing. Chris, tell me, I want to take a little turn now that you've grown up out in Florence, and you've been watching your dad work. Now you're in college, and you're majoring in marketing, and you're at in school there locally. Who were you there? What kind of student were you? Were you the athlete? Were you the academic? Were you the social guy? Who were you growing up in college?
I think I had a good mix, especially in college. I was in a fraternity. I played intramural sports, but I took school serious as well. But I took the social aspect pretty serious as well too. So it was a good mix. I didn't blow school off. I took my classes seriously. I studied when I need to, studied when I had to. I wasn't in the books all the time by any means, because I had a lot of friends and a lot of activities that were going on. I was a student government association senator. I was in several academic clubs, so I had a lot going on at UNA, and plus trying to double major as well. I was definitely busy, and I also worked through college as well. I still had that job delivering furniture in the afternoons, and I didn't have much free time on my hands.
That's what I'm looking back and seeing that, as a child, you developed that work ethic, you watched, you experienced it, you had that creativity to go out and look at things in a different way and to figure things out, to do that. And I see that you used all of that in college. That's why you did what you did in college, and from the from the fraternity to the social aspect, to the academic aspect, to the SGA, as a senator. What in the world possessed you though and how did you, when you were in college? I mean, some of that is really risk taking. If you go out and say, I want to, even joining a fraternity, I want to reach out and join a fraternity. I want to be a senator in the SGA. Any fear of failing there, or what made you take that risk to do those kinds of things?
No, I don't think there was a fear of failure. I think it was a desire for a different experience, or desire to live a life better. I don't think I wanted to miss anything, to be totally honest with you.
Good.
I would take shortcuts. I would again use my imagination and creativity to experience as much as I could. A quick story, to be a SGA senator, you have to get people to sign for you. You have to get a list of, I forget how it was, 600 or 700, 800 names of people, fellow students, to sign and support you as a SGA senator.
Wow.
I got a little creative in that, and then I went down to the gym for 3 nights in a row and went up to the person that checks all the students into the gym and gave them a piece of paper and said that I was writing a story on the usage of the gym, and I needed everybody that came in to write their signature down so we could explore how many people were using the facilities. And in 2 or 3 nights, I got all of my signatures.
Oh, yes, you did.
And I turned those in, and I was a SGA senator.
I love that creativity, Chris. That is awesome. That's ingenuity at its best, right?
That's it.
Okay, so take us through, where did you meet your bride? Talk to us about that.
Well, and this starts where it starts getting into barbecue a little bit. So
Okay.
In college at UNA, I met Amy McLemore, whose great-grandfather was Big Bob Gibson, who started the barbecue restaurant Decatur back in 1925. So I met her in college, and we dated for a few years. I graduated in 1990. I moved to Franklin, Tennessee, and asked Amy to marry me, and she moved up there with me. And so, yeah, I met Amy in college. Before then, absolutely no experience in barbecue, no experience in restaurants. But that I guess, looking back, that started my barbecue career. Meeting that particular person.
Yeah, you did. So when you were in Franklin, Tennessee, was that anything to do with barbecue, or was that just a what was that?
Nothing at all. I graduated and got a job with a company that sold like surgical scrub suits and things. That sold like, I would be calling on dentists and doctors' offices and things like that. So it was a sales rep job. I was living in Franklin, and that was my territory. And I worked up there for about a year. Amy was with me up there for about 6 months. And I think Amy's father, who owned Big Bob Gibson's at the time, missed his daughter just enough to offer me a job to come back and learn the business. It had nothing to do with me. It was all my wife. He just wanted her a little closer to home.
I love that. So he offered you a job. You came back, and what did you start out doing?
So it's interesting. He wanted me to learn the business, and he always wanted to do another location in Decatur. So he wanted me to, learn the business and help him run Big Bob Gibson's. But it's interesting when you get into the barbecue business. In order to know the barbecue business, you've got to learn how to cook barbecue first. So with me, I insisted on actually coming in when the pit guys did every morning about 5:30 or 6 a.m. and learn that craft. So I would be in the pit room working all morning, learning how to cook barbecue. And then the afternoon, that's when I would focus on the management in the front of the house and the cash registers, POS systems, and things like that, and learn the how to run a barbecue restaurant. So, and I quickly learned that I loved the back of the house, the pit room and the cooking, a lot more than I did the front of the house and actually running the restaurant. But that's when I fell in love with barbecue and the pit rooms of Gibson's Barbecue.
Wow. So you as a young man, brought Amy back, you went to the back, and how were you received with those guys that have been back there for years cooking? And here comes this young buck in, he's one of the owners or one of the owner's family. What was that like? What was it like on those first mornings when you show up, just trying to learn and understand, but they really probably didn't know, who what you were about?
That was really a great question. I came in as a young confident kid, college educated. I was going to go back there and, no problem, learn this and do my thing. But barbecue's different than most cooking. It's you've got to feel it. It's more of an art and a science than it is just firing up an oven and, throwing food in or, frying something. There's a lot to it, and it's really one of those things. The more you do it, the better you get. But I quickly learned that I wasn't going to come in and just snap my fingers and know barbecue and know how to cook it. It's not a time and temperature thing. It's more of a feel thing. But as far as how I was accepted, I imagine at the very beginning, I probably wasn't. But I think once you get in there and start working with people and they see that you would not do anything that you wouldn't ask them to do anything that you haven't done yourself, and that you would do right alongside of them, elbow to elbow. And, then the acceptance starts to come. So when I'm working the setup line, and I'm in there and we're in the weeds, which in the restaurant business means you're busy as heck, and, and you're behind and you're trying to catch up.
Yeah.
I would like to think that they knew I was there, and they knew they could count on me, and I wasn't going to leave them. And they were glad I was with them because they knew my work ethic and knew that I would get the job done. So I think you gain respect of people when they watch you work and know that you're not going to, desert them, that you know that you're going to do anything that you ask them to do.
Mm,
You've done it, and
mm.
you'll continue to do it side by side. You're going to do what needs to be done to get the job done. And I think they quickly saw that in me. So shortly after I got to work in the pit rooms and work side by side with them, they had full acceptance.
You earned that right, didn't you? What
Yeah,
you
you've
earned
got
it
to
by.
gain their respect, and once you gain their trust and respect, then they'll follow you anywhere. It's and go to battle with you, and
Wow.
just work harder. And
Yeah.
it's good for the restaurant. It makes my job a lot easier when I got a crew that I can count on, that I know they're going to work hard, and they respect my decisions and respect what I tell them.
Well, that goes all the way back to here. We go to the Chris as a child and learning how to work hard, watching his dad, and learning that work ethic. Here we see that pattern again and again. Hey, Chris, tell me, if you will, just think a minute, because you've had quite a journey, and you and Amy together, and your precious family, and but sometimes it's easy for us to look at a Chris Lilly, world renowned, famous barbecue pit master, BBQ Hall of Famer, and say, boy, he's got the easy life. He had it handed to him on a silver spoon. He didn't have to. He just walked right into this, and everything was roses. Could you share with us, perhaps, what have been some of the more significant struggles that you have experienced on your journey as a leader to this point in your life?
Oh wow, there've been so many struggles and really trials, and you got to put into thought how you overcome them. I think one that jumps out at me is after I learned the business, a few years later. I think I got started working 91, 92, and in 96 we decided to bottle our barbecue sauces and try to get those out on the market. So we started working with a manufacturer that would to match our recipes and put that in bottles. So we did all that, jumped through all those hoops, and we ordered a truckload of barbecue sauce, white barbecue sauce, if you know Big Bob Gibson BBQ, and red barbecue sauce as well, and a spicy habanero barbecue sauce. So we had these barbecue sauces, and we had a warehouse full of them. And now you've got all this, and yes, we've got a restaurant we can sell them out of, but we had a warehouse full of barbecue sauce. Well, what do you do with it? Yeah, it's easy to say, yeah, let's bottle our sauces. That's going to be great. But now you've got this huge other job that you have to get done on where do you sell it.
Mm.
So I thought, well, yeah, I'll just go down to the grocery store and say, hey, let's get this sauce. You can't go down to a grocery store and say, hey, you want to sell our sauce? They say, yeah, I'd like to sell your sauce, but we don't make those decisions. Home office makes those decisions. You've got to go through them.
Right.
So, and then home office says, well, what's your sales records? Show us what you sold in the past. And I'm sitting there with a warehouse full of barbecue sauce, scratching my head. This is a big problem. So how I overcame that is I actually went to every grocery store in North Alabama. I talked to the managers. I gave them samples of sauce and asked them, would you like to sell our barbecue sauce? And they say, absolutely. And I say, okay, who is the person at home office that I need to talk to? So I got their name and number. I had the manager's support. I had the store number. And I got every manager's name and number and support in North Alabama. That's when I went to the home office for the first time.
Wow.
And I say, look, I've got 14 of your stores in North Alabama that are wanting my barbecue sauce in there. These are their names. These are their store numbers. And usually they say, okay, well, I'll tell you what, Chris, we're going to give you 2 stores. and we're going to take a look at your sales in a month's time and see if that works. That's when you do cut box displays, you do demos, you do you cook, I mean, you've got to work it. When 4 weeks, my sales were out of the roof because I put so much time into those stores.
Wow.
That's when they gave me the full line of grocery stores in North Alabama. But now you have another problem. How do you get all of the sauce to the grocery stores? They check in early in the morning. Well, that falls back on me. You got to do direct store delivery in the back door before they open. So that's another job. We start at 4 in the morning doing direct store delivery to all the grocery stores in North Alabama. Okay?
Wow.
Every grocery store in North Alabama had my sauce except for Walmart. I never knocked on the doors. I never went to them because I heard so many horror stories about dealing with Walmart and how they would, work your price down, and the payment terms were, 3 months down the line and things like that. So I never called on them. But after about a year of working all the other grocery stores, I got a call from Bentonville, Arkansas, wanting to know why my sauce wasn't being delivered to the Walmart stores in North Alabama. And he said, here are 5 Walmarts we want you to start delivering to. And I said, thank you, but no thank you. I said, I'm a small company. I'm doing all I can servicing these other grocery stores. But what I will do is I will send my sauce to your warehouse and let you distribute the sauce to these stores. And he said, no, we can't do that. He said, we can't just let a brand new product, unproven product in our grocery store warehouse and everything. I said, okay, that's fine. Thank you. But, I can't service your stores. That's when I went and called on every Walmart manager in North Alabama and told them, if they want our sauce, you need to call this guy in Bentonville, Arkansas, and tell him to put us in your warehouse. A day and a half later, I got Walmart warehouses and got to pick my own terms as well.
And it goes all, Chris, back to earning the right. You put in the work, you put in the sweat. You earn the right to have your sauce in all these stores by just what you did with the guys in the pit. You went in there and worked hard and got up early and hit every store. What a great story! Wow. And now you're just kind of bring us up to date. How is your sauce bottled distributed? How is it that bottled sauce, I should say, distributed? Where are you?
Great point. After a couple of years, after I got it in the Walmart warehouses, distributing companies started to take note of our sales, throughout North Alabama and in the Southeast that we're delivering. I was still delivering to stores, and we were in warehouses as well. So once they took note of our sales, then I had a distributing company come to me out of Birmingham, Alabama, Mrs. Stratton Salas, and they wanted to take over the distribution of our sauces in North America. So worked out a deal with them. Now I get to sleep a little longer, and they are distributing all of our sauces. They take delivery from the manufacturer. We never see it. We never touch it. We just look for that envelope at the end of each month.
Yes, you do, and it's all over the country. It can be anywhere, and that's amazing. What a great story of struggling and persevering and working through. And I know that's just one struggle that you've had to get to where you are today. What is the most difficult thing for you, Chris, as you're walking through this and trying to balance, the management side and your love for being a pit master and your family and raising, how many children do we have now? How many children?
Got 3 kids.
3 kids. You have three incredible kids. And so how do you balance all of that? And what's been the most difficult part of maintaining that balance, if you will?
And that is key. And that's something that I work on and strive towards, and really, now more than ever, that's on my mind, more than anything, getting that perfect balance in life. And I think I've got pretty close to where I want it now, but it took me a long time to get there. You know, again, when I was young, I was aggressive. I wanted to achieve. I wanted to take the history of Big Bob Gibson's and really let everybody know, let the world, let the country know how good a barbecue we have in Decatur, Alabama. Big Bob Gibson has a great story. I thought it needed to be told, and I worked hard to get the reputation of Big Bob Gibson barbecue broadcasted, and so a lot of my time was not only in the barbecue restaurant, but it was divided, you know, with the sauces, and then the competition cooking, and the success with that brought on the television shows and the travel and things like that. The corporate contracts with great companies like Yeti and Kingsford and Smithfield, and work with Microsoft and Toyota and Nissan. It's it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of splitting your time away from your family and away from concentrating on the brick and mortar restaurants here in town. But that's when it goes back to how good a staff do you have,
Mm,
how much they respect you, how
mm,
much they're going to work for you when you're not around, how much you can trust them.
mm,
So I'd like to think that during this whole process, I built those relationships that allowed me to go out and do the things I could do away from the restaurant.
mm,
I built those relationships with my family.
mm.
You know, I was a ball coach on every team, you know, growing up with all my kids, but I was a busy ball coach. You know, I still spent a lot of time traveling. I still spent a lot of time at the restaurant.
Mm.
But it's your time is split, and it's sort of a juggling act that you've got to do. Now I've learned a lot better how to say no. I'm in a great position now where I don't have to chase every job that comes across my table. I can tell them, you know, no, thank you. Uh, you know, now I guess my family time has gotten more and more, and my work time has gotten less. I'm particular about where I travel. If I don't enjoy the people that I'm working for and traveling with and the places that they want me to go to, I say no. If I look forward to seeing those friends that I have in business across the country, and look forward to going to places like Hawaii and Australia and Ireland, and want to go there and want to take my wife there, and I say yes, I'll take that job.
Wow.
So
I love it. And you, once again, I see the same pattern. You worked yourself into this opportunity to say no, right? You had a juggling act when your kids were young and you were coaching and you were trying to manage and cook and that was those had to be difficult days. And I'm sure you were, you know, you found yourself constantly tired, but you were putting in the dues to get to where you are today.
that's exactly right.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing leadership nugget here for us is that leadership doesn't happen overnight, and you do what you need to do to earn the right on the front end. The common thread in your story, Chris. That's amazing. You've always been willing to do the hard thing on the front end to reap the reward on the back end. That's an amazing story.
I think too that an important factor in that is the people around me and how much support I had with
Mm,
my wife, with the kids, with my restaurant, with all of the employees and the other managers, and my father-in-law, Don McLemore. Uh,
yeah.
it's one of those things that you continually work at, and I had that support, but I think it's something that you've got to earn that respect to get that support,
I think
and that's one thing I worked hard on.
I think you did, and no doubt about it. And they saw that. But I have to ask you a question, and you can say pass on this question if you want to, but I got to ask it. So you parachute into this thing. You have Don's daughter, Amy, and you know he wants her back, and she comes back. He starts working with this young son-in-law. Um, Was it difficult? Was it easy? Were there times when you went, wow, I don't know if this is worth it? How did that relationship between you and Don, how did it grow, and kind of talk to us about that?
Great question. That was one of the biggest decisions of my life when Don asked me to come back and learn the business and work with him. I mean, I'm going back to work with my in-laws at a job I've never done, something I've never dreamed about doing, had no experience whatsoever. Was he going to hover over my shoulder? Was it just, there's a lot of thoughts going through your mind, but it's the best decision I ever made. Because when I went to work, Don let me do my own thing. He let me make my own decisions. Many were wrong, many mistakes, but he let me learn through my mistakes. And he was not looking over my shoulder at every point. He saw the mistakes I made. I learned from those mistakes and developed my own management style. And the relationship with us has always been great. It has, it was definitely the best decision I made in my life to go to work with my in-laws in the barbecue business in Decatur, Alabama. He's so supportive, and I think that's the biggest thing. He wasn't hovering. I learned, yes, I made mistakes, but I learned from those mistakes, and he gave me freedom to work on projects that I wanted to work on, whether it be the competition, starting the competitions and things like that, or the sauces and all of that, when you go on in the television shows and the big Bob Gibson promotions and things. But he gave me the opportunity to do what I was good at, and he never second guessed me.
Wow. That says a lot about Don, doesn't it? That's great leadership, and then you see the result. Chris, as we turn the corner, I could listen to you all day. You are an amazing leader, amazing guy. I want to pick your brain for just a minute, because there are those listening who listen to your story and are like, man, maybe they're just graduating, maybe they're just out of college, maybe they're looking for their journey to begin or whatever. What would you say to those aspiring leaders? What do they need to know from Chris Lilly that would help them along their leadership journey?
That's a good question. And let me preface my answer with telling you that my life is absolutely wonderful. I mean, I am traveling with the places that I go and the people that I meet and what I do and loving what I do. I am a lucky man. I mean, I am so lucky. What I would tell aspiring leaders, what I would, if I could give them any nugget, I would tell them that the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Wow, that's good.
It's luck doesn't just happen. I think it's on the back and on the platform of hard work. And the more things have come across my table, let me give you an example. Yeah. When I go out and do a big wine and food festival like the Aspen Wine and Food Festival or South Beach Wine and Food Festival, if I go and show up and I don't just mail it in, wow, I've got a great trip, I'm gonna make some coleslaw and put a little pork with it and just call it a day. If you go and say, no, I'm going to go all out and I'm going to put on a show and I'm going to let people know I'm there. Usually an appearance like that for me always leads to something else. South Beach Wine and Food Festival led to me meeting people that ran NASCAR, that started hiring me to do events specifically for NASCAR within the racetracks. Wow. And since then I've probably done 5 or 6 events specifically for NASCAR. My relationship for NASCAR allowed me to meet the people from Microsoft to start doing catering events and appearances for Microsoft. So it's one thing leads to another. Yes, I put in the extra work at that first wine and food festival, but look what it's got me down the line. Okay. And do you call that luck that I get a call from Microsoft saying, hey, Chris, why don't you come to Sonoma, California to do a catering for us out here? No, that's not luck. It's based on the hard work that I put in on that first job that I did for South Beach Wine and Food Festival.
Chris, that's amazing. That right there is worth the price of admission for everybody listening. That, please, I hope you may stop this podcast and go back and hear him say that again, because that is gold, and it's so truth. What a truth. Chris Lilly, thank you. Thanks for giving us your time. I know you're a busy man, but I really appreciate who you are. Not just what you do. You do tremendous work and make tremendous barbecue. But man, I appreciate who you are, teaching us about making those decisions up front to work hard and pursue excellence, no matter what, and earning the right to lead others. Invaluable message today. Thank you so much for being with us and teaching us. I certainly appreciate you crossing the line, not only to lead with your head, but to lead with your heart. And thank you for that today. And I know that, my man, you are making a difference, and I sure do appreciate you.
Thank you, my friend, and enjoy your podcast. And I think you're the one making a difference and hopefully affecting our future leaders' lives in this world. And you're going to leave the world in a lot better place. I appreciate it, Larry.
Thank you so much, Chris. Take care, man.
Take care.